Chapter 5. Confronting the Darkness. The air in the attic was thick with tension, the oppressive silence broken only by the haunting, discordant melody of the antique music box. Sarah watched in a mix of horror and fascination as the delicate figurines within the ornate, tarnished object twisted and contorted, their movements no longer the graceful dance of a bygone era, but a macabre performance that seemed to mock the very laws of nature. As the music swelled, Sarah felt a chill run down her spine, the hairs on the back of her neck standing on end. The shadows around her seemed to shift and undulate, as if the very walls of the attic were alive with unseen forces. The malevolent presence she had confronted earlier still lingered, its dark essence permeating the air, a tangible manifestation of the mansion's deeply rooted evil. Sarah's grip on the tattered journals and the music box tightened, her knuckles turning white as she struggled to maintain her composure. The rational part of her mind screamed at her to turn and flee, to escape the horrors that had been unleashed within the confines of Holloway House. But a stubborn, unyielding part of her refused to back down, her curiosity and determination to uncover the truth outweighing her overwhelming sense of fear. Steeling her nerves, Sarah forced herself to take a deep, steadying breath, her gaze never wavering from the shifting shadows. "What is it that you want from me?" she demanded, her voice surprisingly steady despite the trembling of her hands. The malevolent presence seemed to shift, its form coalescing and dissipating in a manner that defied the laws of physics. "We want you to join us, Sarah," it hissed, the words dripping with a dark, seductive promise. "To embrace the darkness that has taken root within these walls, to become one with the forces that have consumed this cursed place." Sarah felt a chill run down her spine, the weight of the mansion's dark history pressing down on her like a physical burden. The journals she had uncovered had revealed a twisted tale of obsession, madness, and the unspeakable horrors that had plagued the residents of Holloway House. But now it seemed that the very forces she had read about were manifesting before her, a tangible embodiment of the mansion's deeply rooted evil. "I won't," she said, her voice surprisingly firm. "I won't succumb to your twisted machinations. I came here to uncover the truth, not to become a pawn in your game." The presence seemed to recoil, its form shifting and distorting as if in response to her defiance. "Then you will suffer the same fate as those who came before you," it hissed, the words dripping with malice. Suddenly the air was filled with a cacophony of strange, unearthly sounds, a symphony of creaks, groans, and the faint whispers of unseen voices. Sarah felt her heart leap into her throat as she whirled around, her gaze sweeping the darkened corners of the attic, searching for the source of the disturbance. The shadows seemed to shift and undulate, as if the very walls were alive with unseen forces. Sarah felt a growing sense of panic rise within her, her rational mind struggling to make sense of the inexplicable phenomena that surrounded her. And then she heard it, a faint, keening sound that seemed to echo from the far corner of the attic, a haunting melody that sent a chill down her spine. Slowly, almost involuntarily, Sarah turned her gaze towards the source of the sound, her eyes widening in a mix of horror and fascination. The music box, the ornate, tarnished object that had captured her attention from the moment she had discovered it, was open once more, its delicate figurines dancing to a tune that seemed to emanate from the very depths of the mansion's dark history. But the melody was no longer the gentle, soothing lullaby she had heard before. It had transformed into a jarring, discordant wail that set her nerves on edge. As Sarah watched, transfixed, the figurines began to twist and contort, their movements becoming more erratic and unnatural. The air grew thick with a palpable sense of dread, and Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that the music box was somehow connected to the malevolent presence that had manifested before her. Suddenly, the shadows around her seemed to shift and coalesce, the dim light of her flashlight casting an eerie glow on the shifting forms. Sarah felt her heart pound in her chest as she caught a glimpse of movement, a dark, amorphous shape that seemed to drift and sway, as if animated by some unseen force. Instinctively, she clutched the journals and the music box to her chest, her gaze darting from one shadowy corner to the next, searching for any sign of the malevolent presence. The air grew thick and heavy, the oppressive silence broken only by the haunting melody of the music box and the faint, whispered laughter that seemed to echo from every corner of the attic. As the shadows continued to shift and undulate, Sarah felt a growing sense of unease wash over her. The rational part of her mind screamed at her to turn and flee, to escape the horrors that had been unleashed within the confines of Holloway House. But she couldn't bring herself to abandon the quest she had set out on, not when the very secrets of the mansion were so tantalizingly close. Gathering her courage, Sarah took a step forward, her gaze fixed on the shifting shadows. "I know you're out there," she called out, her voice trembling slightly. "Show yourself, and face me like the coward you are." For a moment the attic was silent, save for the eerie melody of the music box. And then, the shadows seemed to coalesce, a dark, amorphous shape materializing before her, its features shifting and distorting in a manner that defied the laws of nature. Sarah felt a shiver run down her spine as the presence drew closer, its malevolent energy palpable in the thick, oppressive air. She could feel the weight of the mansion's dark history pressing down on her, the echoes of the past reverberating through the very walls that surrounded her. "So be it," the presence hissed, its voice laced with a malevolence that sent a chill down Sarah's spine. "If you refuse to join us, then you will share the same fate as those who have come before you." Suddenly, the air seemed to crackle with an unseen energy, the shadows around her pulsing and writhing as if alive. Sarah felt a growing sense of panic rise within her, her rational mind struggling to make sense of the inexplicable phenomena that surrounded her. But in the face of the malevolent presence that loomed before her, Sarah found herself drawing on a deep well of courage she didn't know she possessed. With a steadying breath, she raised her chin, her gaze fixed on the dark, shifting form that confronted her. "I will not be cowed by your threats," she said, her voice surprisingly steady. "I've come too far to turn back now, and I will not rest until I've uncovered the truth, no matter the cost." The presence seemed to hesitate, as if taken aback by the determination in her voice. But then, a dark, unsettling laughter echoed through the attic, the sound sending a shiver down Sarah's spine. "Then so be it," the presence hissed, its form shifting and distorting as it drew ever closer. "You will bear witness to the true horrors that lie within the walls of this accursed place." Sarah steeled herself, her grip tightening on the precious artifacts she had uncovered. Whatever lay in wait for her, she knew that she could not turn back, not now, when the very secrets of Holloway House were so tantalizingly close. With a deep breath, she braced herself for the confrontation to come, her heart pounding in her chest as she prepared to face the unseen horrors that lurked within the shadows of the attic.